Hey, what's happening, YouTube? Thanks for tuning back in today, right here with the Rustbelt mechanic. So, Sunday live stream. It's a good day. Everybody's chillaxing after an awesome New Year, I hope. How was everybody's fantastic holiday season and New Year? Did everybody have some fun? How was it? Make sure I got my microphone settings ish. Can all hear me? Maybe. At least that's what I'm trying for. It's a little chilly out today, too. It snowed last night. I know I don't usually like using those four-letter words or anything, but the snow has arrived in Ohio. What's up, Doug Page? Thanks for tuning in. I know it's a little bright out there, but that's okay. So did everybody have themselves a good holiday? Get some good tools in? Did you get some good deals? I know they had a couple of really good deals through a lot of the manufacturers through like Tool Nut and everything just before Christmases. All kinds of stuff dinging at me. Every day, Fleet Tech the Salt Master himself cruising on in here. Oh, my stuff's blowing up. Stop it. Let me put that thing on silent. AgTech, it is going pretty decent. Right now, it's a little bit cold, so I'm trying not to do as much as I possibly can out in this crap. Actually, I am going to be shopping for a new tractor here in the next couple of weeks, and I need to talk to somebody about some of the stuff that I want to be able to do and use. And to be totally honest, I hate dealing with salesmen. Like car salesmen, tractor salesmen are the same freaking thing. Annoying as hell, and I don't like dealing with them. They're a pain in the butt. You know, they try to sell you the biggest, fanciest junk that they have available on their lot, and they don't want to steer you in any other direction, stuff that, you know, another dealer might have, or stuff that, you know, they might have to order because they won't see as much profit since they don't have it in stock. It's a pain in the butt. So I went and looked at a local place here at some Kubotas, and damn, those Kubotas, they are high priced. So the things I want to do with said tractor is I need, as long as it doesn't have a Duramax, see how it is. So I want a 3-point stump grinder to mount on the 3-point in the back. So I want one of those. I need a loader to be able to move a crap load of gravel and mulch and everything all over the property. I need it to have enough horsepower to pick up a bunch of logs and everything. I want to be able to get a grapple for the front end of it. Usually doing a lot of woodwork and picking up big stumps and logs and stuff, ripping stuff out and around. And some pallet forks for lifting things up onto a shelf unit up in the barn. That's primarily the use for it there. Oh, and I want to get a snow blower for the front of it. That is another big thing because the driveway here is, I've got about 350 yards of driveway that I need to do snow removal a couple of times a year. I know this year I haven't had to, thankfully, but that is the yet factor. One of those things that I would like to have. I would like to have a cabin closure. Bro, was some asshole told me you died like 4 weeks ago? No, I definitely didn't die. I'm still good to go. I've taken some time off. Taken some good, much needed time off away from the channel. You know, I started this channel back about 3.5 years ago. And throughout the last, couple of years, it's been pretty busy. It's been pretty chaotic. I was putting out 2-3 videos a week for 2 or 3 years, so I just needed some time off and away. I hadn't taken any kind of breaks in that time. I think the longest I had gone without shooting a video was like 5 or 6 days, maybe a week. So I took about 2 months or so off and did some family stuff, did a little mini vacation. The property here takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to handle some of the fall, like summer season close down stuff. So I had to handle doing a lot of that stuff. And then just taking some me time, some us time for me and the family, me and my wife. She wanted to take a motorcycle course. So I went and took that with her. So now we have motorcycle licenses. I went and bought a motorcycle a couple months back and been riding that at the end of the year. So that was fun. Yeah. Doug Page, I got a new to me LLY, occasionally a few codes from turbo for if I replace the turbo with anything other than stock, I need the tuner. Doug, yes, you would. There are stock upgrade turbos that you can get. Ryan's Diesel Service does like 64 and 66 millimeter. They go up to 68 for stock drop-in turbos, but you can do a 64 with high flow vanes, or even up to a 66 with minimal tuning. You can go for that one. Did I consider a skid steer? You get all the one, and then you could have a cab, probably get a used one. So around here right now, I looked at skid steers, and the only thing that I worry about a skid steer is all the places that I have to go. It's all grass, it's all lawn, it's all mowed grass. So skid steers, at least you can correct me if I'm wrong, skid steers in my history, they tend to tear up ground a whole lot and a whole lot more, and I want to do that as little as possible. So that was one of the things that I kind of needed to think of on that one. I know the tractor, if I get one, I really want to be able to get the turf tires for it because I don't want to be ripping everything up. The grass on the property, there's a lot. I've got to mow right at 10 acres, and 10 acres of mowing with all the trees and everything that's out here. It's kind of crazy. It takes me about 5.5 or 6 hours of mowing to get it done. It's a lot. It is a whole lot. Kicking off 2022, Zombie Rustbelt. Yeah, yes, I'm Zombie Jesus. No, we are doing good. McBake's back in here. McBake, are you excited? You have like 8 days till I get to see you, right? Have you dropped that news on your channel or anything? It's been a good couple of days off. I know this next week, going to get back in to the grind pretty hard at work. I know we got a lot of big stuff planned. Okay. I am in Ohio, the state that is known for pretty much absolutely nothing. What is there to do around here? Pretty much absolutely nothing. Yeah, there's not a whole lot around here. 2004 SRX. Is it okay to run the transfer case 60/40 instead of 50/50? What do you mean run the transfer case? Because the 04 SRXs, I don't think you don't have much of a choice on what you run in those. There's no selection. There's nothing, unless I'm missing something, like you can change out parts to put a different, inserts or gears into the transfer case. I don't know. On my channel, I did a review rebuilding an 04 Cadillac SRX transfer case, and I just put all the stock parts and everything back into it. It's an all-time all-wheel drive transfer case. There's no selection or anything to it. The one funny thing I did learn about that SRX is it's got different size tires in the front and the back. I didn't realize that. I never changed them, and they came with the same size tires in the front and the back. It's got different stuff. Look at the John Deere line. So I looked at Kubota. I looked at those. I also have been, and those are just kind of crazy price. I don't think I want to go with a Kubota. I don't feel like spending that much money. If I was getting all the attachments and everything I wanted for it, along with the tractor, they quoted me like 45, 50 grand. And I don't want to be that deep into a tractor quite yet. No. So, kind of looking at the 2 Series Bobcats, the 2035s or the 2040s or 2540, something like that. Like 35, 40 horse Bobcats with midline tractor. Also looking at the 2 or the 3 Series and John Deere. Want to kind of look into those. Yep. Yes, that's what I really want. I want to be able to find somebody local that has this stuff. But again, the hard thing that I'm running into around here is people that have stuff in stock. They have very little, if any, inventory at all, period. And then their parts department, even for normal, regular things, dude, I don't know how they do business. They have a worse off parts and service situation than automotive dealers. It's kind of crazy. 2020 Ram 1500. Anything I can do with preventative maintenance to keep it going long as possible. Is it a 5.7? Just wondering on that one. I'm pretty sure you said it was, from what I remember. As far as the gas motor ones, there's not a whole lot of extra stuff you can do. Now, if you were talking about the diesels, there's a whole lot of little maintenance stuff that I could give you that would have more longevity on things. The biggest thing is I don't see people doing their diff and transfer case services on the 1500s, especially the guys who are using them for like hunting trucks, or they're doing a bunch of little or midline towing with them, so they're not doing their diff services like they're supposed to. Make sure you keep up on the diff and transfer case services. I don't really see any failures as far as the front end or the transfer cases usually, but rear diffs, guys who aren't servicing them correctly will see leaks, pinion leaks, and pinion bearing failure on those here and there. As far as fuel goes, I'd run a fuel additive every once in a while just to kind of clean through the system, just because today's fuel from all of whatever gas stations are all shit from here and there. So it doesn't hurt to run a little bit of like a Lucas additive every couple of tanks or something like that. And then only other recommendation is how you're driving the Hemis. If you're just driving them, putting them around per se, like for instance, when I drive to work, I only have like a 2-mile drive to work. So it's hardly even enough time for a vehicle to warm up. So I need to start my car to allow it to warm up to operating temperature. So you can get a lot of the moisture kind of burnt off from those. They like to have a lot of moisture in the top end of the Hemis. And if you don't run them warm enough, long enough, you get a bunch of that moisture content, that gummy oil buildup on the inside of the oil cap. You don't want all of that sitting in the top of your valve covers and your intake and everything. So just make sure you're running it long enough for it to warm up. You can get attachments from some offshore companies that are much cheaper. Yeah, there was a couple of good attachment things in places here locally. But again, I was trying to kind of keep everything to the manufacturer as much as I could, but that's just because I'm not as knowledgeable and want to be able to have some kind of warranty with it. You said the carrier can be internal gear flipped backwards 18 have more tire options. I didn't not know the internal gear could be flipped on those. With the grooves around the splines inside, this will cause the wrong torque split of 60-40. Mark, I have no clue about that one at all, and I would not recommend doing that too much, just because I would be scared of messing something up internally on that one. And honestly, the split on that one, I would think that it would tear more things up being on more drive pavement if you do a whole lot of like the tires are slipping or you got a whole lot of snow driving, I could see some more of that. But I don't know. I personally, it wouldn't be worth it messing with it because I never have and I've not seen it done. Why do some car makers put two thermostats on an engine? That's actually a pretty good question, man. So, a lot of them are because of efficiency. So, for instance, the World engines, which were used between Chrysler, Hyundai, and one other manufacturer, the 2 liter and the 2.4 liter Tire Shark engines that they had, they run multiple thermostats, and that's because they want to be able to have different rates of coolant flow and coolant temperature at different places of the engine. So they'll run a thermostat that is specifically for like the block and heating system, and they'll run a different thermostat for the cylinder head because they want the cylinder head itself to run at a cooler temperature than they want the block and the rest of the heating system to be able to heat up to. So they want that one to have more flow through it more often, keeping the cylinder head as cool as absolutely possible so they don't have head gasket issues, valves that would gum up or anything. So they run a lower temperature thermostat in one of them as compared to the other one, just so they can keep that section of the engine cooler than the other sections. 35-minute drive to work. Hey, you're doing good then. You driving it like you need to and clearing all that crap out of it, there's nothing wrong that you're doing. That's exactly what I would recommend to do. Don't put that thing around and don't drive it for real short distances because that's the worst thing you can do with those. Rest down there. I would get the snowblower and mowers and those from the manufacturer, but things like the stump grinders and blades. Yeah. So the stump grinders, I was looking at a couple of them. There was a company that started with a B, like Ballmauer or something like that. It was like $3,000 for one of those 3-point stump grinders that had the articulation that you could move it back and forth. Ran the big auger disc on it that would be able to cut and mow down like 20 or 30-inch stumps, which is, I've got some big trees with some big stumps that need cut down and moved. I'm just moving in here. There's probably 15 to 20 stumps here on the property that are in, just shit places that need taking care of. And at the cost that some of the local places want, they want $300 to $400 per good sized stump to take it out, which is kind of crazy to me. I'm like, that's pretty high. Like, I can rent stump grinders for less than that. Or, like I said, I end up getting this tractor, then I might as well get the attachment and do it myself. Dano in here. What's up, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Of course, I haven't seen much of anybody in a while. I haven't seen much of myself around here in a while. But again, we're having a good time getting back into the rolling into things. Are you running a Stock G80 in My Lbz? So I run the stock differentials, yes, in the Lbz right now. I'm talking about upgrading gears. Excuse me. I'm looking at going to maybe some 410s and upgrading to the 30 or 38 spline axles. Working with Mark up at Kodiak Truck and seeing kind of what might be looking at some different kind of options for the axles on the truck going into this year. However, the first thing that I'm going to have to do and take care of is the transmission. So it was uneventful as all get out. I did the whole tuning and did the whole dyno video where I put the thing on the dyno, did like 750, 800 horsepower on the dyno. It freaking did awesome. I never really had any issue with the transmission or anything. And then all of a sudden, within the last couple of weeks, I went for a drive across town to go pick up a hood for this POS little Hyundai that I bought for flipping. And all of a sudden, I just started having a really weird, huge flare shift in third and fifth gear. And then after I drive it for a while, I will also lose reverse. So I'm like, oh crap. So I looked up the what's on when chart and the flow chart for the transmission. And it looks like it's the C3 clutch pack is what's engaged in third, fifth, and reverse. So I'm thinking either Mark thinks either blew out a piston seal, or the C3 clutch is just gone on it. So bad luck and bad timing on that one. So we are going to be doing a transmission upgrade, removal, rebuild video for the big old Duramax. I'm going to be upgrading to a couple of billet parts and going through it in detail on what fails and why on those Allison transmissions. I think it's going to be a pretty awesome video, but I'm going to have to wrangle up some parts and look into getting it up there to him, because we also want to hot flush the cooler, put it on his dyno, and check how everything works and all. So that video is probably going to happen the first week or the second week of February. So looking at the fun stuff for that one. 13 LML. Ooh, should I get a lift pump? What size? Brandon, I love to put lift pumps on even those. You're saving yourself a whole bunch of headaches and putting in more filtration. I always recommend AirDog. Not a sponsor or anything like that. I've purchased all of mine, and I've had nothing but amazing results out of AirDog lift pumps. Now, it just depends on what kind of stuff you're doing. If you have a stock truck up through running like 40 over injectors, the rest of the fuel system stock, you're not going bigger turbo or really big turbo, maybe a little bit bigger. Stay with the 95 gallon per hour systems on those. They work really well. Don't go any higher than that. Now, if you're doing something crazy, a little bit crazier, at least like I am doing on mine, I've got compound turbos running about 60 pounds of boost and a dual stock fueler system. I run the 165 4G from AirDog, and that's a lot of fuel. It pumps a whole bunch of fuel, and it does a good job at it. I definitely recommend those. I should get the 18-inch wheels for my SRX. Sells them for $30 each. So that's not too bad at all. Yeah, that's not too bad. So you're just running 35-inch tires. I mean, if you're not going anything crazier on the fuel system or anything like that, no, don't go anything bigger than the 95 gallon per hour. Yeah, the 17 wheels have no match tire set options. Yeah, they're different size. I think it runs two 35s in the front and two 55s in the rear, which I didn't know that. I just assumed when I bought the thing that it had the correct tires on it, and I was wrong. So I've got to swap some of those out here soon. This year's plans for the Ram: 2-inch lift, KO2 tires, oil catch can, intake, manifold catback, brush guard, Raptor, line, bed. Yeah, and step bars. So all are pretty cool. The KO2 tires are pretty darn good. They're a little bit noisier than I like to see out of some tires. That's just a personal opinion. We run a bunch of Wranglers and some of the 2500 Ram builds that we have seen run the KO2 tires, the BFGs, and they're noisier than I thought they would be. They grip like no other. So if you're taking that thing off-road and up to, hunting and fishing and stuff like that, they grip like a mother. You wouldn't believe how well they grip for what they do and what they are. You wouldn't think that, but they do. That's why a lot of pulling trucks use those BFG KO2s. They grip like nothing else in the dirt and the mud. Now, if you're doing more often just on-road driving and maybe seeing 5% or so off-road here and there, quieter tire, a hybrid tire is going to be like your Nitto Ridge Grapplers. That's actually what I've run on the Duramax there for the last 3.5 years. And you keep those things aligned right, they are much more forgiving and they're much quieter tires too. The only downside is to both the KO2s and the Ridge Grapplers, especially right now, is finding them. They are hard to find tires. People getting all these stimulus checks and everything. Everybody's buying their rims on their tires, getting their trucks all hopped up, ready to go. So that's a big thing that everybody's doing right now. So, yep, kind of hard to find there. But if you can, the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, and Nitto also just came out with a new one. What was the name? Recon Grapplers. Yes, Nitto Recon Grapplers. That's another really good hybrid style tire that performs very well and is quiet for that one. Oh, McBake is pumped. So I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Old McBake is coming back to the dealership. You're going to come back with the good old boys working on some Dodges. Going to have a good time with them in the shop. I'm looking forward to it. I was looking for tires. I could buy the 18-inch wheels to get matched set of tires. Those Michelin cross climates are pretty good. I had put those. My mom's got had an all-wheel drive 300, and I put something like that on those, and they're awesome. They work great for her. They're quiet. They last forever. That was really good. Just picked up a new roll cart today. Ooh, nice. What'd you get, McBake? What kind of roll cart you pick up, huh? What'd you get? That is another thing that I am probably going to be doing here in the next couple weeks, is doing 2 different roll cart videos. So I'm wanting to do I won't say the one, because the one's kind of a special little video / possibly giveaway thing. But I am wanting to do a specific diag cart. Hey, there's nothing wrong with those US General ones. They work. Especially, you actually found one of the 5-drawer ones. They've been hard to find for some people, from what I heard. But I'm wanting to do a specific diag cart, so I've been doing a lot of diag lately. I've been using the new Mopar, kind of the cross thing, Pico scope. Pico and Mopar went together for a Mopar special tool version of the Pico scope. So I've been using that a bunch lately and dragging all the stuff around everywhere. I've been using meter stuff and leads and specialty pinout things. These newer Jeeps and the Wagoneers, the Grand Wagoneers, are having so many issues with electrical and random crap that I'm diving in and out of these and ProMasters and these stupid new conversion vans. So I'm needing a cart that is just for electrical and diag stuff. So I'm wanting to set up a specific diag cart here in the next couple of weeks, where I get like my own remote battery system on it for power, inverter to be able to run a monitor, and a couple things where I can just roll it where I want to, where I need to, and be able to have it run for at least a couple of hours and just roll it back into my corner and plug it in at the end of the day. You wanted the white one, huh? Yeah, but your box is black. You still got the same, the Husky box that you had before. It'll match real good with that one. It'll go great with it. Yeah, it'll go fantastic. Are you familiar with the 2014 Grand Cherokee 3-liter diesel? I don't wish I was. I have been. I don't want to be. And I always steer people away from those as much as humanly possible. If you're talking about anything aftermarket, deleting the diesel DPF system, I have no clue. I've never messed with anything like that. I've only ever done warranty and crap dealership stuff with those, and that is, we're going to say, plentiful work, because they are just junk. They suck. They're expensive. There's no parts ever available. They have cylinder head issues. They have block issues. They have EGR cooler issues. They have DPF issues. They have the injector nozzle issues. They got a lot. They got a lot of problems. They aren't worth any a bit of money. I would rather see anyone else buy just a regular 3.6 liter Grand Cherokee. Just go buy all brand new boxes and have them all match. Be a happy place. It's just money. That's it. It's just money. I know. Trust me. I haven't done much of any videos or anything since going back to the dealership. At the dealership, in the way of tools and toolboxes. One, because I got this place now that I'm able to do all my shooting and videos here. I don't have to do it at the dealership. But also because I don't like the toolbox that I currently have. I ended up getting an SP one when I worked for SP there, and I sold my giant Snap-on Epic Series one for the part of the down payment on this place, which was well worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat, but boy, I miss that Epic Series box. I miss it a lot. Is it really a Jeep if it runs? I guess not. Yeah, I guess not. Those eco diesels are just such a pain in the butt. DEF issues, bunch of that, a bunch of wiring issues too. They had a bunch of wiring issues run back the DEF pump system had a bunch of electrical issues to it. I put a couple of harnesses and fixed harnesses that run from the middle of the Jeep all the way back. They were a pain in the butt. They just have nothing but bad nightmares from eco diesels, both the trucks and the Grand Cherokees. Yeah, coolant leaks under the intake, EGR cooler leaks are just a pain in the butt. Yeah, it sucks. Sucks big time. See Chiefs in groups so you can tow the broke one home. Either by force because somebody decided to do something that Jeep stuff should be able to do. What is DEF for? A diesel exhaust fluid. It's a urea combination fluid that you have to put. Anything 2012, I think, and newer runs DEF on the Mopar world of stuff. The 6.7s even went over to running DEF. Another 3 liter, that stuff, it takes DEF on a lot of the newer things. They do have to have that one. They have a small, I think it's a 5-gallon DEF tank in the rear. I think they might have had an 8-gallon option, but the standard, they run a 5-gallon DEF tank, and they just have a lot of issues. One, DEF around here, people like to buy in bulk, and DEF does have a shelf life. You can only keep it around for so long. You have to use it in so much time. They have to use it before it goes out, and it just is messy, and it chunks up the DEF injector nozzles way too easily. Yeah, more pain. Stuff Jeeps cannot do, including driving on the paved roads. Sounds like he's got a thing against Jeeps. You might say that. I do not own any Jeeps anymore. I used to own some older Grand Cherokees. Yeah, that is for the 14 plus Jeep Grand Cherokee 3 liters. They do run DEF. I used to own a couple of Grand Cherokees back. I owned an 02 green 4-liter Grand Cherokee, and I owned an 04 4.7 Grand Cherokee. It was one of those maroon Overland editions. That was a pretty badass Jeep. It was pretty nice. The rockers, they totally rusted and gave out. They work pretty good, but I've never owned any Wranglers or anything else weird like that. I don't like the Wranglers and how they sit and the leg room for the taller drivers. It's not a thing for me. The funny thing, though, is the resale value and how much these stupid Jeep Wranglers are bringing these days. For instance, we just got this 1999 21-year-old Jeep. 1999. 20. No, I can't even math today. So almost a 23-year-old Jeep being in 2022. This thing had 150 or 160,000 miles on it. 4-cylinder, not the inline six, 4-cylinder automatic Jeep Wrangler from 99. And it has a shit body. It's just rusted out. Fenders are rusted. Everything underneath has fallen apart. If it had fluid in it, it all leaks. Transmission is leaking everywhere. Slips all the time. Valve covers, front cover, oil pans rusted through and leaking. Diff, pinion seals, axle seals. Everything leaks on the thing. Everything. And they got it traded in. And they have it listed on the lot for over $9,000. $9,000 for a leaky ass rusted Jeep Wrangler 4-cylinder automatic from 99. I don't know who's smoking what and thinking they can get this kind of money, but people are paying it. I don't get that. If you guys are looking for vehicles that are used right now and you think Jeeps are cool and they're the way to go, don't overpay like that. Just don't make these dealerships and different places make themselves feel better about having crazy Jeep things sitting on their lot and overpaying for this crap. You don't want them that bad. Trust me, you don't ever think that you do. I had a 78 CJ5. Anything without round headlights. Round headlights is not a Jeep. My mom had a CJ5 long time ago. It was like a tan off-white color. It's pretty crazy. It was a nice little Jeep she had. It was when I was way younger, though. Michigan, have an 03 GMC, 309,000 miles. Heck yeah, buddy. Yeah, you need to pay a shrink. If you're willing to spend over $9,000 for a 4-cylinder automatic Jeep from 99 in any condition, let alone rusted, leaking, and hardly running, just no. Oh, the exhaust or the intake manifold was cracked on it too. Had a massive vacuum leak on it. Massive vacuum leak. Brakes were junk. Needed ball joints. It's a piece, man. It was really a piece. And the funny thing was, I went up to the manager and I said, "Hey, I'll give you $400 for it. $400 so I can go beat the crap out of it until it dies on my property, and then I'm going to shoot it with a whole bunch of rounds, put a whole bunch of holes into it, just leave it where it lays, and blow it up. That's what I want to do with it." He wouldn't do it because they think that even with all those issues, they can take it back to some auction and get over $4,000 or $5,000. Not to mention, first they thought they could get $9,000 for it, but now they think they can get $4,000 or $5,000 for it at auction. I don't get it. I really don't understand that stuff. I really wanted the 3-liter for its gas mileage and range, but now but I'm not so sure. Great, advanced level repair. Really want that Jeep for those two reasons, for mileage and range. So the other thing, to be honest, the 3.6 liters in those, now granted, the 2012 through 14s They had some cylinder head issues in the 3.6 liters, and they also have an extended warranty for those cylinder head issues. But those 3.6 liters get pretty darn good gas mileage. Maybe not quite as good as a diesel, but good enough to mathematically challenge it in the way of how much diesel costs compared to what regular gasoline costs. You're not going to be saving a whole lot of any money in the way of going to the diesel, especially when you're talking about the maintenance upkeep. The fuel filters on those things are pretty stupid expensive too for what they are. They kind of suck to get to back in there, and they're just, again, when you deal with diesels, you got to do diesel stuff. You have to be able to use the thing. You have to run it for long enough, and you have to be able to get it warm enough for a long enough time for it to allow it to go into regen. Yes, because of all of the stupid exhaust and emissions, these things have to go into regen mode to be able to burn down the soot, or the soot in the diesel particulate filter has to be able to run through a regen to burn down into smaller particles and ash. It's pain. You have to be able to drive it down the interstate for more than 35 to 40 minutes at a time for it to go into regen, or you have to have a scan tool that you can manually put it into regen if you're just doing putt-putt around driving. Just keep that in mind too. That's why I don't recommend the diesel ones for people who are doing that kind of stuff and who aren't doing a lot of highway driving. Any Chrysler product is good for learning diagnosis. They do break often. Yes, they are, but so is literally everything else nowadays. I think I've seen the biggest rash of Hyundais lately. Hyundai, like the 2019 and up Tucsons, we had a rash of those come through, traded in and stuff. People were beyond frustrated with them. We had a 2019 Tucson that had a transmission shift issue. Granted, the thing had I'll say 25,000 miles on it, and had a check engine light, power input to the shift solenoids or something like that issue. And the thing having that low mileage, we didn't even look into it because we're like, yeah, it's under warranty. Go take it to Hyundai. Took it to them. They found a connector on the top of the transmission that had a ripped seal from intrusion on top of the transmission in this Hyundai Tucson that some little old 70-year-old lady bought and then traded in at our dealership because she wanted a 300 that was lower to the ground and easier to get into. And the Hyundai dealership denied the warranty, would not do the work because they found this seal going into the top of the transmission was torn on a connector, and it just green corrosion, horrible, going into the main connector on top of the trans of this Tucson. And Hyundai, for some reason, does not produce or manufacture pigtail repair harnesses for their stuff either. I'm like, wait, you guys got this big badass warranty on these Hyundais, and you're going to cover this stuff, and you don't produce even pigtail repair harness parts? What is this Mickey Mouse operation that you guys have going on here? People complain about Chrysler being horrible about warranty work. No, Hyundai is a joke and a half. They say, oh, it's got the best warranty in the business. They can write down this 10-year whatever freaking warranty all they want to. But until they actually cover your shit and get it done, ain't worth jack squat on paper. Nothing at all. So needless to say, now I've got to go through junkyards, or our parts department has to go through a bunch of junkyards to try to find this harness connector to be able to repair it, because I don't have any pins that match for that specific connector to go into it. It goes into the valve body connector that's on the top of the transmission for the internal harness. So they're trying to find one of those because through Hyundai, all you can get is a main engine harness, $3,400 for a freaking engine bay harness. This shit's a joke. Hyundais are a joke. That's all I have to say. Need a little or lower truck with stouter running gear. I like a short bed. Fifth wheel. Any experience? Would it be okay? Thinking of a sidewinder, hitch, or similar. I mean, if you're looking for having any kind of fifth wheel or anything like that, um, going to pull a 44-foot fifth wheel toy hauler. A 44-foot is pretty big trailer, especially is that one I'm imagining it's either a really heavy duty twin axle or a three axle. If you're running a three axle trailer, you should be up in the dually range. Any amount of salesman is going to tell you, oh no, your 2500 can handle that. Your 2500 has the towing capacity. They can pull that, no problem. Yes, they have the power to be able to pull it. But do they have the suspension to handle crazy bounces? And do they have the braking system and transmission system to be able to handle the stopping and the slowing down and the hills issue for that one? I want to find somebody with the balls to put a fifth wheel on the Jeep. No, you don't. Yeah, you need a 3500. You really do, especially a 44-foot. You're probably talking about a 21,000 pound capacity trailer right there. Fifth wheel. Yeah, you need to safely get into a 3500. I looked into getting a fifth wheel like that, even pulling behind this big Bessie. And I'm letting you know that after pulling a 24-foot trailer with a side-by-side and all of our camping gear and everything, the brakes on this truck right here are not enough. No. You have to have some crazy good brakes on the trailer, especially going through the mountains in the eastern part of the United States. This truck does not have good enough brakes for that. Scary as shit to do through the mountains. Not good. I was going to go to a one-ton hoping for a short bed. So the other thing that you can look into that a lot of the guys are trying to find, which is kind of a holy grail truck right now, is a 14, 15, 16 Ram 3500 Mega Cab. If you get a 3500 dually Mega Cab, it's the shortest bed that you can have for having a dually to run a fifth wheel on. That they run, I think it's 6.25 bed or a 6-foot bed with that dually, and you have a Mega Cab. I don't know if you have a family or anything that you got to take and all that crap with you each time, but that's got the shortest bed for a 3500 that you can get is when you get the Mega Cab option. I was leaning about the regen aspect diesel. I think that would probably be the issue with fine with the three-liter. Oh, what it would be like to manually clean it out. So, Mark, you can't manually clean out a diesel particulate filter. You have to run it through a regen and everything for that, and you can't really clean out a DPF. Does not work so great like that. Yeah, there's a lot of mountain roads that use that. Yeah, I would definitely tell you if you're running that big of a trailer, you have to run a 1-ton to be able to safely do it with the braking and suspension system. Definitely want to run a 3500 for that. Yeah, it sucks doing regens. So funny thing is, I actually do quite a few manual regens for a couple of guys locally here. That's just because they have horse farms and they run these horses from the farm to auctions or to events here locally. So they have to have these diesel 3500s to run these trucks and trailers and stuff to be able to pull them enough. But they're not pulling these horses down the interstate. They're just pulling them 10, 15 miles at most, like maximum, or on the property back and forth. So they've got these newer trucks that they're pulling these big loads with, and they're not running them at high enough speeds long enough, and they don't hardly ever go into regen. I've got this guy that literally brings his 3500 truck in like 4 times a year for me to do a fuel service, do fuel filters, and to do a manual regen on it, because he never gets it up to temp or up enough driving on the interstate for it to go into regen enough to bring the diesel particulate filter down to below like 8 or 10%. So that's one of the things you got to keep in mind when you're doing that kind of driving. I really like the new GMC and the AT4. Those are nice. Like they are very sexy looking trucks to me. My old boss there at SP actually had one. And I think it was a 2020 AT4. This is a sexy truck. You have to say. My 04 Cadillac has a 3.6. Been learning a lot on that motor. How do you do it manual regen? So the 3.6 is a gas engine on the SRX. If you're asking about how you do a manual regen on a diesel, like a 3-liter diesel, it's just a scan tool. You have to have a scan tool that has the availability to do that function, and most scan tools do not. You have to get up into the higher midline scan tools to two different things you're saying, or up into like a bi-directional scan tool that is able to manually put the vehicle into regen mode to run a regen. It's just a scan tool function that you have to have and do. Now, when you do a manual regen on those, the exhaust system gets so hot. So if you don't know what a regen actually does, when you're usually will only go into regen mode when you're going more than 60 miles an hour down the interstate for more than 20 minutes. At that point, it will go into regen mode to be able to burn that soot down to ash particles, which are a lot smaller particles in the actual DPF. It needs to burn that stuff, the soot particles down. So how it does that one is the fuel injectors in the motor will run an extra spurt of fuel on the exhaust stroke. That will put raw diesel fuel into the exhaust, and usually will run through the SCR or the DOC, the DOC catalyst, which is like a pre-cap kind of thing that gets that one super hot. And that diesel fuel will actually ignite in the exhaust and work like a really big flamethrower and just burn the shit out of the stuff inside the diesel particulate filters. Now, when it goes into regen mode, this exhaust gets upward of like 1,500, 1,600 degrees. Super hot. Like I said, flamethrower into the front half of the exhaust. When you look underneath them, you'll see the exhaust, and it will literally be glowing red hot, way hot. So when you do them, you have to have it parked in an area that you don't care what's underneath of it. You don't want anything to be igniting. On the trucks, you have to lower the spare tire down because it goes a little bit too close to the exhaust on some of the trucks, and it will actually get the exhaust so hot that it will melt part of the spare tire on the truck. So you have to lower the spare tire and move it out of the way when you do a manual regen, just because it gets so hot. So there's a couple of things you have to do there for running a manual regen. Yeah, you're going to be spending at least $600 for a scan tool to do that kind of stuff. Where's Autel TPMS sensors? Yeah, the Autel one only works with Autel sensors. We'll only do that. So if that's one of the things you're looking at, it's like burning the cat converters from Rick's Mystery. Yes, kind of the same thing. It's where the diesel particulate filter has to be there to catch all these soot particles to be able to pass diesel emissions. But soot particles are really big. They're like big snowflake particles of shitty carbon in the exhaust. And when you burn those things down with over 1500-degree exhaust, it burns them down into ash particles, which is about a 20th of the size, and helps to burn that down in the DPF. Pleasure to see a 5-axle plane wrecker. That's pretty cool. That's huge. Exhaust gas wrap. You've seen a glowing red exhaust. Forest fire from the car camping. I've seen a Jeep where guys went camping or guys went out and did a bunch of Jeeping and then parked this Jeep on top of a bed of leaves. Yeah, that thing burnt to the ground. No problem, Mark. I like how you explain it when a customer asks me what the DEF does. Like, it injects into the SCR and science happens and it lowers the NOx emissions that exits the tailpipe. That's a good way to put it for some people. I mean, usually I like to see the customer's face when I started to explain some of these things on how whatever may work on their car, especially when you get into talking about how diesel exhaust systems work. You've got the DOC, which preheats that, goes into the DPF, it goes into your SCR. They're like, are you just throwing 3-letter things out there and just pointing at my exhaust system? That's what it's going through their head. Like, no, that's actually what these things are called to do in your system. Let alone all the other sensors. You've got delta pressure sensors, exhaust temperature sensors, NOx sensors, ammonia sensors, O2 sensors. Yeah, these newer diesels have a ridiculous amount of sensors in them too. And you get them all sooty and rusted up from being in the state of Ohio. They don't like coming out of the exhaust ever. So if you ever ask to do exhaust work, you might as well quote the sensors too, because they're going to come out worth a damn. And let alone the DEF injectors, which are bolted into the front of the SCR catalyst, and those 10-millimeter bolts, they don't look like bolts after about 5 years of running here in the Rustbelt. So, sucks. You need to take the DEF injector off, and you're like, well, you're going to need a catalytic converter too, because you can't get those bolts out. Pain in the butt. But I like that one, and science happens. Work on semi-engines. Yep. Just wanted to cab over as a daily driver, a 2-ton military truck. I always wanted to see one of those, at least drive it around, just to have that big, badass military truck. That'd be really cool. I also wanted one of the big Duramax ones. What were those called? I don't know. Just had a brain fart. The big 5500 Duramaxes. I've seen a bunch of really cool builds done on those, and those would be really cool to see. DEF system is the worst thing because of the damage it does in the long run. Yes, but you have to run it for it to be able to meet EPA regulations. Kodiak, yes, the Kodiaks. Those are awesome. I want to see. I would love to own a big lifted crazy Kodiak. Yep. I know a buddy of mine who also has a channel on here, JC Smith Trucks. He's done a bunch of Kodiak trucks, and he's got a bunch of really nice, low mileage ones that I'd love to have. I can't justify what they want for the cost on some of those things. They're just outrageous, especially for toys. They're having something just to pull something twice a year. Yeah, so that's the one thing. I do like clean air, and some of the regulations are good for that, mostly because there's a bunch of dumb people out there that don't know how to do correct tuning and diesel work and everything, and they think running smoke switches are cool, which is the dumbest thing ever. But I digress from that one. there's a lot of dumb kids out there that think that a lot of random things are cool, and then hopefully they'll learn later on in life. But that's what we have some regulations for. Unfortunately, a lot of those regulations, because of what they have to be and do on a truck, take the longevity of all the truck and the drivetrain and everything way, way down, especially EGR systems. EGR systems are the worst things ever in the world for diesel trucks. DPF, DEFs, whatever. They're filters on the exhaust, that's fine. But at the point when you're running recirculating exhaust shit air back up into the intake, thinking it's going to be a good thing for your engine, think again. That's the worst thing that I've ever seen on diesel trucks is EGRs. Seeing some for one-offs, it's amazing. Oh yeah, those Kodiaks are really nice. Yep, they are very nice. Well, guys, we are at 1 hour, and I think I'm going to hang it up for the day. It's been really cool getting back into this, talking to you guys. I know I could sit here and talk for a couple of hours at the time. But, yep, we're going to be getting back into some really cool videos here over the next couple of weeks. I want to do a couple of really neat little short ones. I want to try to keep the videos a little bit shorter. 10, 12-minute videos. I know some of the videos that I've been doing are having like 20, 30 minutes, and people are just, I don't want to see that kind of crap for that long. But then again, some of the people like that kind of stuff. So leave some comments or whatever on what kind of videos that you guys want to see. If you like seeing more of the technician, the how-to videos, the knowledge like we just talked about today. Or if you like seeing the tool stuff, seeing the newest, latest, greatest, seeing my opinions on some of the tool things. I switched out a bunch of the electric tools in my arsenal at the dealership over the last couple of months. I actually switched over to that yellow brand. I know the Saltmaster would like to hear me say that one, so I did. I switched a lot of my tools, and I got a bunch of DeWalt stuff. So that's going to be a video coming up here soon. Hey, what's up, buddy? So, yep, I'm going to be doing my own review stuff on some of the DeWalt things, as well as the comparison to some of the Milwaukee stuff. I've got a video that I've got to do on some heated winter wear. I'm going to be doing some review on some of the Milwaukee and Snap-on heated jackets, heated hoodies, the battery-powered hoodie stuff like that. So we're going to be doing some of that one. Great rest of the week. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I like tools, too. All the good brands are good. Just depends on what you live for access and warranty. That is very true. What you think works best and who has it available in your area is a big deal on that one. But I really want to be able to get back into doing these live streams at least once a week for you guys. And I know some of the other guys do it on other random days. Heavy Wrench does it on Saturdays. Sometimes Justin does his on Fridays or Sundays. So I kind of like this Sunday thing. Gets me some time and some, midday Sunday stuff, especially here in the wintertime when I don't have a whole lot of, taking care of this trees and crap or doing crap in the barn and everything. So I like doing the Sunday stuff. So I'm going to keep on doing that one, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. Maybe seeing some shorter live streams after work, after 4:30 on some of the weekdays. Depends on what I can get out and get doing. I want to be able to keep up on this stuff, and I really want 2022 to be a really cool year for a bunch of new things coming out. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys will as well. Leave some comments down below if there's anything you want to see, or you can get a hold of me by email, therustbeltmechanic@gmail.com. I will put it into the chat right now. You can email me anytime at that one. No space. It's just the rustbeltmechanic@gmail.com. Or you can go over to Instagram, Rustbelt Mechanic over on Instagram, and you can instant message me, DM me anytime. I try to get to as many of those as I can when I can, answering any of your questions, whether it be technician related questions or, hey, I think this would be a really cool video to do. I'll put my 2 cents into it. I like doing that one for you guys. Well, guys, we had a good one. I appreciate everybody for coming in today. Hopefully, everyone has a good rest of their weekend and start off the new year in a good way. Make 2022 one hell of a bitchin' good year. All right. Well, we will see you guys later. You guys take it easy. Stay awesome.